On the 23rd of July of this year, we lost a great friend and colleague, Tom Johnson. Tom was a great friend of each of us here on the show. We'd all known him for years. We loved Tom, as pretty much anybody who ever met him did. Tom was arguably the most respected birder in North America. No doubt he was one of the most liked and beloved. He had an incredible way of setting people at ease, not talking down to them, treating them with respect, and finding interest and empathy for pretty much everyone he met. Losing him has been one of the most difficult things I think the birding community has experienced in my lifetime, certainly. Tom was really a unique person and a gifted one. I think the combination of his skill and of his personality made him larger than life. He was really, if not the heart, right at the heart and a huge part of it for the birding community. And he knew, it seemed, everybody. It felt like Tom knew everybody, or that and those that he didn't know knew of him and had heard nothing but good things. At some point, we want to have a larger discussion about Tom and what he meant for us all. For the time being, we just want to express our deepest sympathies and condolences to his fiancée, Melissa, and to Tom's parents, Jan and Ernie, and also for Tom's multitude of close friends. We loved you, TBJ. We will miss you.
Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast.
Hello. Welcome. I am George Armistead. We are Life List, a birding podcast. I am here with Molly Brown, Alvaro Jaramillo, and also Kowa Sporting Optics, Jeff Bouton. Jeff Bouton, welcome to the show. Hi, guys. What's happening?
Hello.
Hey. Full house.
Hello. Hey.
A lot happening here. 4 of us today.
This is going to be insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. We got 4 loud people here. I feel like it's going to be difficult for people to absorb.
But I'm just going to try and follow your lead.
Yeah. No, it's dangerous. That's a dangerous pathway. I'm not sure I could recommend it.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah.
But where you been? What have you been up to bird-wise, Jeff?
Well, after the big spring event, May, of course, April, May, there's 60 different birding festivals that occur in the U.S. and Canada in like a 2.5 week stretch, So that's always kind of a mad and zany, crazy travel period. But yeah, since then, honestly, I had some June plans that fell through, and I've been sitting at home, which is kind of a novel concept, I got to admit. Yeah. And we had a few South American visitors come and visit, and was able to look at some birds.
I was going to say, Florida is, typically I would never, ever, ever, ever want to set foot in Florida in June. But lately, you guys have had some stuff.
Yeah, we've had a few people come and visit. We kind of lit up the rare bird alerts there with not one but 2 individual large-billed terns in Brevard County and Collier on opposite coasts, found the same day, like hours apart for really no one knows why. an adult and a juvenile. And so people have been coming down. And then just last week in my home county, a couple local birders went out and photographed a dark-billed cuckoo, which as of yet has been a one-day wonder, but in a mangrove forest where mangrove cuckoos breed locally, and they thought it was maybe a weird juvenile, dark-billed mangrove cuckoo, and it, of course, wound up being something a lot more exciting.
So I'm trying to remember how many dark-billed cuckoos there are for the ABA area. Like, I know there was like a roadkill or something found in Texas years ago. There was this one. Wasn't there? Was there one other one or no?
Yeah. So there was one in like Delray Beach, Florida, in 2019 in February that was there for like 4 or 5 days, and that was the only chaseable one because, as you said, the first one was a bird picked up, injured, put in a box, by a non-birder and brought to a rehab center in Texas where it died somewhere down in the Rio Grande Valley. This is technically only the third one, and as of yet, all subsequent chases have come up dry on this spot. It's kind of tough because it's a completely impenetrable mangrove forest that goes from where I'm at in Charlotte County all the way down to Sanibel Island. It's, it's just massive patch of habitat that's pretty inaccessible.
And the bird is a cuckoo also.
It's a cuckoo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Enough said.
Makes it a little tricky. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is wild. And those large-billed terns, I've been like following that whole thing since it kind of popped up. You wonder if those are kind of maybe not the tip of the iceberg, but just indicators of some other stuff that is around that still hasn't been unearthed yet. Pretty awesome. You've been to see those, the dark-billed cuckoo that was seen just last week or whatever. Like I can't imagine. Like, I think of that bird from the Galapagos, Al, where you just got back from. Yeah. It's like, it's like that they're easy to see there, sort of oddly, and throughout much else their range, they can be kind of sneaky and you just got to bump into them, I guess. But that is some wild stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The terns again represent kind of a first opportunity for many birders, considering the last one was 1988, and then prior to that you've got to go all the way back to 1954. The one in Central Ohio, and the one in 88 was not too far from you, George, in northern Jersey. Were you around to go chase that bird?
No, I think I'm trying to remember when it was. It was like I was either recently birding or
June 88, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I would have been not driving yet. But I remember when that happened, and it was some craziness.
Huh.
Yeah. We kind of jumped right in here. I feel like everybody knows you, Jeff. Like, I feel like our audience, probably many of them would have met you or seen you around. You have a long and storied birding career. I think I got my lifer Jeff Bouton on the Hawk platform at Cape May when you were the Hawk counter there. Were you the Hawk counter there for 1 or 2 seasons?
2 seasons. Yeah, I did 1987, 1988, and then hung around the hawk trapping stations for another 2 years after that for the following 2 falls. So, yeah, I kicked some of that dirt,
Yeah, I think of you as a hawk guy still. I still think of you as like a real hawk nerd.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll wear that badge proudly. Take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you go to like all the birding festivals, I feel like.
As many as can fit in without, getting divorced, probably. There is, when it gets to the point where you're traveling more than you're home, it's like, yeah, right. You got to kind of push back a little and say, I'd love to come, but yeah, maybe we can push this off till next year. There's a ton of events, and they're a lot of fun. I enjoy that festival circuit a lot, but it is time consuming. It's I've done, I think, at the most like 30 2 weeks of travel in a year. And
Wow.
that was too much. That was definitely too much. So
It'll keep you busy.
Balance it out at under the half-year mark. That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, few people have the expertise or the lengthy career you do in optics. So you've always been my first call when I've got questions about optics. So
Who are you going to call?
Yeah, Jeff Bouton or JJ Bouton, as some say. Yeah,
Bouton.
Bouton.
If he was in Louisiana or in Quebec, he'd have to be.
It was a Quebec thing. Yeah, originally back in the day.
So give us a rundown of like what you do and your sort of role and stuff, because some people don't know you, and we know why you're here, but let us know.
Right. Well, technically, if you look at my fold-out business card, so lengthy title, it's got to have an addendum on it. You flip it to the back. It's I believe the official title is I'm the sales and marketing manager for nature observation markets for Kowa Sporting Optics in the Americas. So, that pretty well covers everything. So, all consumer events, working with folks, getting handling various aspects of donations and sponsorships, PR work, of course, as we already mentioned, the festivals proper, but dealer training, dealer interactions, and then of course even involved in the customer relations as far as helping, assisting as we can with customer service. I've got to say, happily, my time here at Kowa has not been near as much of that. There's not as big a need because that's pretty well locked down, which makes me happy. It's like you don't have to worry much about that. So it gives me more time to play with birds and do the more fun stuff, Yeah.
It's interesting that I think I met Molly and you at birding events. I used to do so many birding events and sort of festivals and stuff, and that's it was. I didn't know it at the time, right, when I was working with field guides and going to these places, but the connections and things you learn and people you meet and birds you see and all this kind of stuff, places you go to. I would never have really probably gone to the Space Coast area if I hadn't been a festival there, and it's great birding, it's great people, great fried food, and
the rock shrimp. We never get tired of the rock shrimp.
Never get tired of the rock shrimp. That's I think where I met you, like at one of the outings, and I remember you're like, you'd never met me, I'd never met you, and you were sort of like, hey, you're a lot more fun than I thought you were going to be.
Yeah.
I remember.
I think it was early enough, El, that we knew each other only from bird chat,
Right.
And I think both of us felt the other was going to be way older, just given the list of accomplishments, I guess, that you had. I was like, I thought you were some old dude. What's going on?
Yeah, and now we are old dudes. But
yeah, I was gonna say now we fit the mold, but back then it was 25 years ago or whatever, maybe not.
Right, yeah, but it was good fun because we just sort of took that trip and had a good time with people, and out in where it was like that. It's great, wonderful spot where I remember you were telling me they'd seen like a Eurasian kestrel at some point.
Had a pop gun.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dragged my son out there when he was like 4, I think, Al, and I he wanted to play with palmetto bugs. And I'm like, here, just do Dad a favor and look at this bird through the scope. Can you see it's got one stripe on its face? Do me a favor. And he said, yeah, I see it. It's kestrel. It's got one stripe on its face. He went back to playing with palmetto bugs in the dirt there, or whatever, chasing lizards and things. And and then I was like, tick, yes, Eurasian kestrel for the boy.
Count it.
I don't know. Yeah, tick. Okay, wonderful. That was a good bird.
It was. No, I think Molly, I met you at the Midwest Birding Symposium, probably the first time. Like, I mean, it's probably kind of behind the scenes. Like, we weren't even birding, and it's like, here's because you were organizing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's funny. I was trying to think when I would have met you.
Yeah,
because I know I'd met you, but I don't know where.
Yeah, it was at that Lakeside or Lakeville or whatever it was called.
Lakeside. It was Lakeside Resort. Or was like,
yeah.
10 years ago. That's
been
a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah,
I find it better to not do the math. Molly, you're still the junior member here for sure, but with every year that passes, that would be my suggestion to you as someone who's been around longer. Don't worry so much about the math.
Well, suddenly I'm realizing I'm hitting double digits here in career in birding.
Sometimes that's just, just not really counted up.
Yeah,
that's right. Mm-hmm. But I actually use all of your equipment, and I find it actually superb. I wouldn't. One thing that I don't know if you have to ever deal with this, but do you ever find that because, there's all these other companies that have been around probably in birders' minds for longer, even though the first scope I ever saw that was an awesome scope that I thought this is revolutionary was the TSN 1 or 2 or something where I was just like, oh my God, look at this thing. I could not believe it because you were up against the Bushnell, and
that would have been. I was going to say that was like 1990 or something. It's like,
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, 90, 91 when those first came out, and the only other thing out there was the Questar. Remember the giant purple coffee can?
My dad had one of those, and I don't know if you guys, Molly and Al, if you would remember those, but like. They're a mirror lens. And you have to look straight down at them, and they're like, and then they're huge, right?
Yeah, like a giant purple coffee can. Basically.
Yeah, and you have to look straight down, and it's a mirror lens, and it has like a viewfinder, and you got to flip, and you had a choice of 40 or 80 power, and that was like the scope I learned how to bird on. And at the time, they were thought, they were not really for birding or for wildlife; they were definitely for astronomy. But that was like. Yeah, that and those were deemed like just like amazing scopes.
Well, yeah, even back then, they were like $5,000, I think, at retail and in the early '90s and late '80s, So I mean, it was definitely if you had one of those, you were pretty serious. You didn't see a lot of those kicking around,
and the thing was, my dad hated it upon buying it. Yeah. Like he immediately hated it, and so it ended up kind of being my scope. And he's never really been a scope guy anyway, but I ended up using it a lot, and there was a huge tripod associated with it, and it was just like, it was an absurdity. The thing was,
What the question about this is like, do you find that now birders know you guys way more, so that they're not thinking about like, what do you guys have to offer or what have you? Or you're still kind of say, well, you might have not heard of us, but we've actually been around making scopes before a lot of other folks were.
Yeah, forever. And I mean, it is a challenge, and one that I happily accepted when I came on. It played a lot in my decision to jump over to Kowa. Was the fact that here's a company that really should and could realistically see growth for the rest of my working years, and it'll be fun, just a really fun challenge. The other thing too is that, birding is still a very important component to Kowa. We don't have rifle scopes or laser rangefinders and other things. I mean, it's still a bigger component, a bigger part of the pie, if you will, than a lot of the other optics companies where hunting is the big dog, and then, by the way, we do a little bit in birding too. So that was also a big deal. And then of course, unlike your dad, George, I'm a manic, spotting scope user, as you know. Yeah. So to go to the company that had 9 lines of spotting scopes, and on, arguably the best spotting scope in the industry, was a huge attraction. Plus, all kinds of digiscoping adapters and accessories and whatnot. So that was a lot of fun. So it's been a great transition for me, and I feel like a really great home for someone that is essentially kind of a mad digiscoper. I did digiscope my 551st species for the year. Just this week, I'm going to set a new world record for digiscoping because no one's ever done it before. So I should be able to get it as far as I know. So going big.
There you go. Set the bar high. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to do it.
Yeah. I wanted to, I love my Kowa scope. I use it all the time. And its Virgin Voyage was that trip I did for the snow leopards, early part of last year. And so I go up there and like, the snow leopard search up there, it's a lot of stationary, like you're stationary scanning distant mountains. And we went during sort of the tail end of COVID. We were the first Westerners they'd had there in quite a while. And so like the 10 dudes, the local guys that are the guides and spotters of the snow leopards were all there. And they had like 6 scopes set up. And they were just hanging out basically. And I roll in with my Kowa scope and I could see right away that they had not seen one before. Like they had all kind of the other, known brands there. And so I see like the main guy like kind of look at it with curiosity as he comes up, and they were not shy like about just sort of commandeering scopes that arrived. Like they were like, we know what we're doing here. You guys just relax, and
sit back and watch.
Yeah, like literally relax, and you chat yourselves up, and also like give us some room to work here, and we were like, right on, yep, get, understood. But they like came up, and I see the first guy come up and like look through my Kowa, and then I see him like, go over to another scope, and then he comes back to the Kowa, and he goes back to another scope, and he goes back to the Kowa, and all of a sudden I see him like signal to his friend. He's like, "Hey, come over here, take a look at this." He's like, and I can't understand what they're saying, but he's like, I can see they're like, "You've seen this before? What is this?" It was like, it was pretty cool to be like, kind of introduce them to this new brand, and they really dug on it, and then we were there for a week, and they were always commandeering. One guy was basically always commandeering my scope during that time.
I wonder if you give you a stack of my cards for these guys, let them know who they can contact when they're.
Yeah.
No, it is fun. And to me, that is a great fun part of the job is watching, the brand recognition kind of growing right before your eyes, is really, really good. But I do feel like the recognition, the perception of the brand is growing leaps and bounds daily, which is cool. And we've got some exciting new products coming up too that are going to keep that alive over the next few years. So, should be a good run. Yeah.
So is that something you can talk about? Have you guys got anything in the pipeline that, folks would be interested to hear about?
I think so. Yeah. So long as you promise to air this after July 14th, that's the key.
You just gotta, Molly takes checks. So
that's it. Okay.
That's it.
Actually take scopes. So
well, you might want one of these, Molly, actually, who knows, you guys could all probably, utilize one. So we're rolling out, I'm really excited about it. A new 66 millimeter scope in the Prominar series. So it's going to be that smaller travel scope, not as small as our really small compact scope, the 55, but it's going to use the same eyepiece as the 88 and the 99, and it's going to have the pure fluoride in there as well, which is something we've not had in that lower, more compact, lighter weight scope, is to have that premium performance with the smaller size and weight, with the same exact eyepiece and the performance of the eyepiece that I think all of you are using right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
Molly, you should look at it. I'm sorry.
I should, because I have the 77 now too. I mean,
that would be an upgrade for you.
Yeah.
Even though it's slightly smaller with the fluoride and even lighter weight and smaller than that 77. So
Yeah,
fits in a
that's right up my
backpack pretty
alley.
nicely, huh?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. For when you're traveling light, or, you got one of those flights that you guys, they count the ounces or whatever going in,
Yeah.
could be an option. I know people. And we're going to launch it at the Global Bird Fair. So that'll be our big announcement this year there, and just super excited about it. I think it's really going to take off by storm, because honestly, if you look at the marketplace right now too, really only Swarovski has a 65 millimeter in the premium market segment anymore. Zeiss only makes 85s and bigger right now. Leica's threatening to bring back their 65 millimeter, but it hasn't happened yet. So Swarovski's just been able to kind of dominate that marketplace without any competition. So here we come, competition on.
Cool.
Forward to it.
Well, I think it's, you're always trading off things, right? So you can have the bigger scope with a bigger, objective lens, get more light and so forth. But for us, a high quality, smaller scope that we can travel with more easily, right? Like you said, sometimes they're going to places where they're counting, they're weighing your bag. That's a huge thing, for as a change of potential, like high quality imagery that we could, a digiscope with, look at stuff in poor lighting and so forth, yet not have to cart around this much weight.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
I only had my hands on it for mere seconds so far. I'm looking forward to getting a sample and really being able to run through the paces, and put it alongside the 88, even the 99, in low light conditions to see, what that compromise is like. But, the fluoride, that pure crystal fluoride lens element makes such a difference in the ability to resolve detail a little better. When you, manage chromatic aberration or that color fringing, the ghosting on the edges better, not only do you have truer color rendition, but you have a really crisp edge, because you don't have a blurry ghosted edge, which becomes more apparent, when you crank up that zoom on that product. So, from what I just saw, I was able to take, a handful of digiscoped images and was super, super happy with it. And it's real flyway. So I think you'll like it, but
you're reminding me of like being back in the day, using one of those old scopes, the old school in the 80s scope, and you'd like pan and you'd get seasick from like the actual image kind of warping out the sides as you panned, and you'd be like, oh God, got to get my Dramamine to use this thing. But we've come a long way in terms of optics.
And like you said, that TSN 1234 series scope, I was the same. I was throwing around one of the old Bushnell Space Masters back in those days, and it was the best I could afford or had. And we'd never seen anything else. It went from that literally. There were some of the old remaining Bausch & Lomb Bell scopes. Remember those with the rotating 3 eyepieces on the top, and then the big boy. But yeah, that's tough, So
yeah, I think part of it too is as from the guiding perspective, one of the things that really was an eye opener was the non-straight through scope. When like that, then that came up, we were like, oh my gosh, So it's been quite a revolution in what's going on,
It's funny you should mention that. I remember years ago when I was first doing the Cape May Hawkwatch, of course, our colleagues in Europe were ahead of us on that transition. And they said, why are you guys using straight scopes? They're just, the angled scope is so much more usable for bird watching. And I was like, really? And now, of course, sorry about that. Got a pack of angry wiener dogs in the background.
Heavens.
Attacking. Sorry.
That sounded terrifying.
No, we got 2 wiener dogs here too?
No, I didn't know. I had no idea we had that in common.
Yeah.
Oh, yet another similarity, another common thread, Al. This is fantastic.
I know. So, you're talking about by the way, just backtracking to something different, was like you were going to go and launch this, or you will have launched it by the time that people hear this out in the UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that festival like out there? I think some people might have not even, even heard of it, since most people now, like new birders, many of them have started just in 2019, right? Like,
yeah, right.
It's
There's
pretty new for them.
So many new and different people. And, the British Bird Fair, now called the Global Bird Fair, is held in Rutland Waters in the UK. And just a superb event. It is unique, certainly from the standpoint of, North American festivals, where everything's about the birding themselves and the birding field trips. And then, oh, by the way, we've got a vendor area back here with some goods and services. And the British Bird Fair is a true consumer trade event. And it's all about the consumer, birding gear and trips, as well. I mean, all these international tour operators, lodges, gear, boots, clothing, and of course, optics. And then it attracts something like, historically at least, coming out of the pandemic, things are still kind of rebuilding, but historically it would attract like 20,000 attendees over this weekend, out in these sheep pastures, essentially.
I remember going there, and like there were all these tractors and stuff putting things together, like forklifts, moving things around, and beep, 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 and these big tents going on. And I got there kind of as from the US and thinking like, oh, like are the Stones playing as well? Or is it just the birding thing? And I realized, this is just for the birding thing. And there's like bazillions of people like I've never seen in my life. I could not believe it. I almost felt like it was like Mecca. Like it was like, wow, there are this many birders in the world that you can do this, because I'd never seen anything like it in the US where, it was
our friend, Bill Thompson III, tried to kick it off and get it replicated. Molly, of course, you were there at that time, assisting behind the scenes and as part of that crew, with the American Birding Expo, but it just didn't have enough years to grow to that big level of what Global Bird Fair is. But hopefully someone will try and start that again here in the U.S. and make some of that happen, because it is a truly unique event. And anyone that's shopping for tour operators, an international destination, it's so fun to go and talk to the actual lodge owners and things of all these, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of vendors for the international travel aspect. Is that was kind of really one of the shining highlights, I think, of that fair. Honestly,
yeah.
So, Bouton, going back to your hawkwatching experience, I am curious if, like, you had 2 full seasons up there, and like, the numbers must have been staggering. But I'm curious if, were there some counts or some individual birds or vagrants? Like, there's a lot of folks that have spent seasons at Cape May that might be listening to this, or that might end up at Cape May, because there are so many good. There's some cool jobs there, field jobs there, and of course, it's just an amazing place to go if you're from Philly, New York, or any place, Baltimore, DC. It's relatively close to all those places, but it's also just a birding mecca, attracting so many folks. Like, what was it like spending 2 seasons there, and as a hawk watcher, and what were like some of the crazy things you saw?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think all of us suffer from being huge fans of VisMig in general, and it's visible migration for those that are not aware, but just the spectacle of migration in of itself is amazing. And to spend time at any one of these, kind of storied places in the U.S. that have massive migration spectacles is always fun, or anywhere really for that matter. But I mean, but yeah, in those years, it was early enough that peregrines were just really still on the rebound. And so, I got to reset the high peregrine count, which immediately got squashed, after my tenure. But that was kind of fun, but
and it's a good thing it got squashed, right? But,
yeah, absolutely.
What was it, by the way? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was afraid you're going to ask.
It was did you 100 or something, or?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I'm not even going to guess because too many years have passed. And I wasn't prepared. I didn't look it up, but I can tell you a couple of the highlights, individual highlights, the two that really make the highlight reel for me. The first one was everyone had gone on a Cape May pelagic, so all the local birders were out on this pelagic that went out. And as I recall, it was a really horrible day. They begged to come back. They saw a herring gull and that was about it. And while they were gone, in the platform was a ghost town. There is this bird that flies over and he goes, "Scream!" like that. And I'm like, I've never heard that before in my then, relatively young ear. And again, flies over, "Coo-wee!" and there's this giant shorebird comes right overhead with big cinnamon underwings and this long decurved bill. And it's like, that's a long-billed curlew, which was, a first modern era record at that point for New Jersey. There hadn't been one, in the century practically. So that was a highlight reel, and there were only a handful of us up there.
Were you salty at the time? Really, were you all bummed out that you weren't on?
I was. Pelagic? I wanted to go on the boat. I was bummed. I got to work on this pelagic boat, and I was strapped to the Hawkwatch platform because back in those days there was a counter. There were. And no one else, you didn't get days off. You were
7 days a week for 3 months or whatever, right?
Yeah. There weren't swing counters and, interns to answer dumb questions or anything, you had to do the tap dance and try and count the birds all at the same time. But yeah, no, so that was sort of sweet justice. I've got to admit, that made the day much better when that happened. And the other one was, we were sitting up there one time, and a gentleman came up and just kind of very nonchalantly said, and this is a quote, even after all these years, I remember this quote. He said, "I assume you're all aware of the wheat ear over here, and so there was a northern wheat ear that had been wandering around on the little grassy circle in the parking lot, at Cape May Point State Park. I think you've all, been there, so you know what I'm talking about, just the little circle that you go around to come in and out. And here's this wheat ear over there just teetering along. And we're like, what? You're kidding, right? There's a whole platform of people. And within, he goes, "No, I just got back from Alaska. I saw a bunch of them. It's right there." And then there's this just panicked mass exodus, as everyone tramples each other trying to get down the narrow stairway to run over and get this wheat ear, which was totally cooperative and didn't care at all about us. It just continued to feed on the insects there. And later, after I'd seen it there, I got up and stood on the railing to look over the little baby junipers there so I could get it from the Hawkwatch proper, because I was certain that was a first at that point in time. I think that was 88. I want to say that was October 88. But yeah.
Yeah, I still never seen one of those in the East. It's it's one of my.
That was my only one.
Yeah, I'd love to just stumble into one of those. That would be a very fun thing to have happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're such cool little birds, And then, talking about great migration and other things, we were just talking a little bit before that about the champions of the flyway and going there and that spectacle, the spring migration in the raptor flights, in Israel. I know, Al, you've been there. George, you've been there. I think, Molly, have you been yet?
I haven't.
Yeah. Okay. We got to fix that. You definitely have to go.
Yes.
Do that. That's got to happen.
You must be a champion.
Yep. It's a weedier spectacle.
A matter of will. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty special place.
Yeah.
It's one of the, I mean, it's like, I guess, like you said, people talk about it like they talk about Cape May.
Mm-hmm.
Makes an impact on people who experience it.
It's definitely got parallels, yeah, in high volume birds.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. Cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, did you ever have any of those like big Sharpie days, like big sharp-shinned hawk days? I feel like those don't seem to happen.
No, Sharpies seems like they're not really doing as well, as when I first started. They're the one that is kind of tapered off. Kestrels did a little dip, but seemed to be coming back. But Sharpies definitely in it flip flop, right? Because Cooper's hawks were hard to come by back in those days. Yeah, but I remember days, especially in the hawk trapping blinds, where you'd be standing at a net and they'd yell freeze, and 5 Sharpies would hit the net that you're like crunch or like whip around your head, treat you like a rock, and you'd hear this whoosh, into a mist net. And yeah, no, it was some zany days with Sharpies, but they're not like that anymore.
My guess is that there's so much spraying going on up in the boreal for spruce budworm to maintain the numbers of spruce, actually for commercial purposes, that we don't have any good information on what it's doing to the local birds. But Sharpie would be like the canary in the coal mine on that one, because it's eating all the little birds, right? That are there.
Exactly.
So I'm guessing that's what's going on. I don't know, but I'm guessing.
Interesting. Yeah.
We saw that happen with peregrines, at the top of the food chain and getting the higher levels of the DDT and the eggshell thinning and stuff. So, yeah, certainly could be a parallel there. Don't know.
In your hawk watching days, because you kind of sit there and the hawks go over and people come around to look at what's going on. Did you ever, especially as you were a younger birder, have like a super famous birder of the time come around where you were like, oh, hello, Mr. Peterson, or whatever?
Yeah, that very one. Yeah, that was sort of the big watershed moment. RTP was a common, well, not common, uncommon by those days, but I mean, he was a frequent visitor of Cape May, and had a lot of lifelong friends there, of course. And his stories were legendary about his first trip down there, like eating sharp-shinned, was what they ate. I don't know if you ever heard that.
I didn't know. No.
This is like pre-Hawkwatch days, and they'd heard about this wonderful thing. And much like at Hawk Mountain, the gunners would line up there along Sunset Boulevard, over by what we call now the magnesite plant.
Mm-hmm.
And they just sit there with shotguns and blare away. And he had hitchhiked down there to see the spectacle and stayed with a local family, and they served sharp-shinned hawk actually at the dinner table that night. And I asked him how it tasted. He said it was actually quite delicious. So, yeah, that's probably got to be the guy, I mean, out of all of them, Roger Torrey Peterson. Yeah.
He straddled the whole thing, right? From the shooting, the even like, at that point, no observation was really done through observation, right? It was mostly, he straddled that pre-observation birding to creating actually what we do now. I mean,
modern birding.
Obviously he was not alone. There were other people. There were all sorts of other people in the same kind of boat trying to make birding kind of a thing. But he's sort of the iconic image of,
no one had a greater impact, at that point in time. And then in modern times, I'd say, kind of David Sibley, passed the baton there. Mm-hmm. Got a really good story about Roger Torrey and David Sibley, but I don't think we're allowed to talk about it still.
Juicy. Wow.
Yeah, that might be over beer some night when we're not recording. But,
yeah, maybe some night.
One of those recorders that you can't tell because it's underneath the beer plastic.
Al's going to be wearing a wire, so we'll get it.
You see, what are those crazy glasses you got on, Al?
Yeah,
like nothing. Virtual reality.
I've never seen those before. Unique.
Why you have shades inside the bar?
Yeah.
Maybe the next time we all do karaoke, Jeff. Now I feel like some people will know
loose lips.
Will know your skill on the karaoke, and some people might be surprised by this. But you're a karaoke veteran.
Yeah,
right? That's a fair assessment.
Yeah,
he's an entertainer.
You could say geek. You could say it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I liked connoisseur, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Has a certain je ne sais quoi, certain savoir-faire. Yeah.
I had to, back in the day, these birding gigs, the 3 month here, 3 month there, binocular for hire gigs did not pay much. There was no guaranteed pay. I remember Cape May, getting $150 a month in a piece of floor to sleep on. So in between gigs, especially, if you like to imbibe, if you'd have a couple drinks each night, you weren't paid enough to be able to do that and eat, so, I was always having to pay off debts and find ways. So one of the things that I wound up falling into was running karaoke at bars, in between, field research gigs. Super easy money back in the day, when it first started to, it paid crazy money. I was making like $450 a night cash, under the table.
I don't know when you slept, but yeah, it seems like
that's why I look this way, George. It's premature aging,
Yeah, he's only 25,
my friend.
Man,
sweet.
Yeah, it's a good thing there was no thermals and nocturnal migration. Was not as much a thing back then. You really would have suffered as opposed to just now.
Yeah. And thank God that we didn't have social media and cell phones back then.
Oh heavens, yeah.
I wouldn't want to have recorded sessions.
So, can you share? Do you have some go-to favorites that you when you?
I know the one I've heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
If he doesn't say out, let's hear from about give us a couple of your favorites that you are go-to songs.
I pretty well gotta you gauge the crowd, George.
Uh-huh. Wow, so he's got a stable.
I'm not afraid of. The last time I looked, I think it was 200, 300 songs, something like that I listed as things that I might do at any given time. So, I don't know. The last night out we did, I went from Fuel Hemorrhage to Holly Holy by Neil Diamond.
Wow.
So
it's a spectrum there. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I think Tears for Fears before that.
Tears for Fears.
Nice. That's strong.
Yeah. Not afraid.
Yeah.
Just throw it out there.
Any hip hop? Do you rap? Or you?
See, I can't read fast enough to really rap effectively. I always get tongue tied and get behind. I'm
not an effective rapper.
I'm too slow. That's why I moved to Florida. I get this slow lifestyle. I'm going to move to the Keys after this.
There you go.
Take it down a notch more.
Yeah, then you'll have to be doing all those Parrot Head songs.
Yeah. Done it. Been there, done that. What do you want to hear? Oh my goodness!
Wow!
What was the one you heard? What was the one you heard?
Me, I think a couple of times. There was In the Jungle, The Mighty Jungle.
Oh yeah, The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Yeah, it's he's
because
he hits the high notes. He does it. He does it. He does it. Right.
I did it.
Wow, the falsetto. You got the falsetto for that?
Just clapping halfway through because they're they cannot believe this.
That's impressive.
Mild-mannered birder is out there hitting the high notes.
Clark Kent by day.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm doing more Neil Diamond these days. You've all seen it. I went and saw Elton John here recently on his last tour, and those high notes have a tendency to, most aging vocalists tend to lose those. And you got to find another way or new songs. So like I said, Neil Diamond was one of the ones that came out.
Mm-hmm.
The day we see him doing Jumpsuit Elvis, as we know, his days are almost
finished, just get the hook out and just yank me off the stage.
Yeah, it's
right there.
No,
it was a good run, Jeff. Time to sit over. Jeff, someone wants to talk about binoculars over there in the corner. Yeah,
caught in a trap. Can't get out.
Can't get out.
My goodness.
See what you did there.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's because I love you so much, baby. You know.
I'll tell you,
Oh.
I remember I was buying new glasses a while ago, and like the guy selling them to me, you know, we're like talking, and he's like, so what do you do? And I was like, well, actually, I you know, guide and arrange professional birding tours. And he's like, ooh,
No, really.
he's like, ooh, the parties, I bet, are amazing. And I was like, I was like, you'd be surprised, actually. You know, like we can throw down pretty good.
Yeah, not everyone makes the after hours parties, but
yeah. But if they survive them, they usually come back.
Yeah,
some are legends.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, George.
This is true. It's undeniable. You know. Yep. So I keep eating those Necco wafers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been told to ask you about this.
Oh,
George.
really?
Yeah. Those, what are they called again? Necco wafers?
Yeah. Don't pretend you don't know them. Don't pretend you don't know them.
Well, hold on a second. I had to look these up because I
like
saw this
little
row.
chalky little discs. They're like the size of a quarter, and they're orange and pink, and they got like powdered sugary goodness on them.
The orange ones are the second best ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I looked these up, right? And I go, oh, hold on a second. I don't think we call them that in Canada anyways, but those are those things that you got at Halloween that you're like, oh crap.
No.
You know, we're getting
Incorrect.
Colored chalk, you know, like, geez, you know, and then
Nope.
that's what I was thinking. And then I look it up, right? And then I got all these memes, like, you know, there was like the most interesting man in the world going, I don't always eat chalk, but when I do, I eat Necco wafers. You know, and I'm like, okay, so people are with me on this. This is not something you crave. And Tom Johnson actually ask him about this Necco wafer
he
thing.
Said that
who eats this stuff?
Tom said that of all my bad takes, my Necco wafer take was the worst of them all. So really,
that hurts me from way over here.
I know. It's kind of cracked.
Glad I didn't come full out in admitting I liked them. So
yeah,
God,
maybe that's why they're so hard to find these days, George. Maybe there's just not that many.
That makes them all the better. It's like now the rarity of it makes it even more exquisite. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Kirtland's warbler in the low days. You know, if you ran into one, it was a huge deal. Yeah.
Now, just kicking them out of your way. You know, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Success story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This is like the Pabst Blue Ribbon of candy. It's like there's that old school kind of coolness to it, maybe in some circles. But
man, coming after PBR now? Jeez. Hast thou no shame? Goodness Lord.
Okay.
Man, I don't even know you anymore, Alvaro Jaramillo. I don't even know you.
I have 3 letters for you. IPA. So
yeah. Oh.
Man.
Strong.
That is tough to stomach. Well, I think we got to put a bow on this. It's
we'll end with your bad take. Yeah.
The time is not. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of going out on a little bit of a low note with my my bad takes here, and Alvaro, like, you know, going after PBR with reckless abandon.
Yeah, you guys just lost a bunch of followers, I'm pretty sure, after this one comes out.
I think so.
I guess, Molly's texted me that they were about to like give us a whole bunch of money for the, but perhaps ribbons out.
There goes the PBR sponsorship.
Just evaporated. Yeah. Yep. Like a balloon getting away from a kid. Just there it goes. Yep.
Man.
Yeah. Well, JB, wonderful to have you here, man. We've been meaning to do it for a while. We really love working with Kowa. We love scopes. We can't wait to get a look at the 66. That is fun. And yeah, man, you got anything else? You got anything coming up you're excited about? Events or anything?
Just breaking the setting the high bar on the, digiscoping big year.
Nice.
It's not really a big year in a classic sense, but I'm just trying to see how many birds I can actually see in the course of all these.
And you'll be social media, like Instagramming this, like with reckless abandon as well, right?
Oh yeah, I might even tweet it. You don't know me.
Wow,
it's crazy,
man. Yeah, that's one to watch, folks. One to watch.
5:51 and counting. That's it. Can throw down. See you guys. It was great talking to you, Molly. Appreciate you, George. Don't make mean faces, okay?
Do what we can. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back again soon with another episode. And yeah, over and out all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
See you.